Good afternoon, everyone. We have an interesting panel topic today. It's all about rural startups and digital market access. On the panel, we have a diversity set of participants. We have Praveen from ONDC, which is Open Network for Digital Commerce. We have Yaikhomba, sorry, I still get to pronounce your name correctly. He is from the partner, service network partner for ONDC. Then we have Jiji from Dhan, which is a regulatory authority for microfinance organizations. Then we have one rural startup represented by G. Mallikarjuna. So before I get into the topic, I was like, this topic kind of took me down the memory lane. When I was in telecom, I used to do a lot of value-added services on telecom. And this was circa 2001, 2002. We have launched information services on SMS. So you could send an SMS and you can find out commodity prices. Over a period of time, I noticed that a particular area in the coastal belt was consuming a lot of SIM cards. And then when we went and investigated, we found that the consumption is from fishermen who are using these SIM cards so that when they catch in the high seas, and before they land onto the shore, a lot of intermediaries come and try to buy the produce. So these guys were selling their produce without knowing what the market prices are. But because of this particular service, they were able to understand in terms of what the real market prices are and do not fall gullible to those intermediaries. This was way back in 2002, and obviously a small startup over there has enabled this. Now, almost like 23 years later, with so much of advancements in digital, so much of advancements in social, mobile, analytics, cloud, and various other things, or the trinity that we call as Jandan, Aadhaar, and Mobile in India, we wanted to get a perspective in terms of what's happening with regards to the rural startups and the digital market access. Maybe, Praveen, we can start with you. You represent one of the largest community, which is the Open Network for Digital Commerce. How do you see ONDC playing an important role from a perspective of enabling rural startups, primarily to drive digital market access?
Yeah. So Government of India has created a lot of DPIs. ONDC is one of them, and it is very recent one. So we all are used to UPI, where money is being transferred, and it is in protocol which is working in backend, right? In a similar fashion, ONDC has been created a digital highway for e-commerce, where the commodity or service will be transferred from one node to another node, right? So currently 6% penetration of e-commerce is there in India. In comparison with other countries, we are very behind as of now. The idea is why we are behind is, moreover at this point in time, access to market for the rural entrepreneurs and rural area and grassroots producers is quite challenging, right? There are 2-3 major elements to this. One of them is we don't have a problem in the production. We are having very good production as of now. However, the packaging of that production, which do derive a national value, perceived value of that particular product, that's where we are lacking at this point in time. Second is the logistic. Logistic is being developed by private player and government as well, but mostly catering for e-commerce need into the urban area or tier 2 cities. But tier 3, tier 4 is still, we need to get into there to provide that sort of access. In order to do that, ONDC has created a digital highway where a lot of entrepreneurs, startups, a different sort of apps are connected and speaking to each other in order to provide that sort of service. So if you would want to start one sort of e-commerce entity or something, then you need to do end-to-end supply chain yourself, be it buyer side, where you have to acquire the customer, seller side, where you have to acquire the lot of seller and all. What ONDC is providing is, do what you are good at. If you are good at bringing a seller on the network, be a seller participants, onboard lots of seller, and then connect those sellers to this highway, they will get the buyers. Similar for the buyer side. Hence, it's kind of removing that sort of that sort of entry barrier for the rural entrepreneurs, and we are trying to reach out to the grassroots level of people as of now. For this specific purpose, we have created one program called Amazing India program. Amazing India program is very much into the last leg of the entrepreneur who are producing good, but lacking these sort of infrastructure. We are supporting them in order to get onto the network. So that's how we are trying to bring entire value chain on the e-commerce, which is being dominated by some platforms and some players, duopoly, monopoly, or triopoly we can see in the market. So that's where we are.
So you do bring up interesting points. Obviously, from a product perspective, packaging, pricing, promotion are very, very important. And you're saying from a rural perspective, these are the areas where there's a lot of opportunities for improvement. And ONDC is contributing in that particular area. Yaikhomba, you work as a service network partner catering to a lot of regions, specifically Manipur and the other regions. How do you see this space evolving based on what Praveen had mentioned from a packaging, promotion aspects? Do you see any rural startups playing an important role over there?
Right, I think what has really happened after ONDC came into place is today we are starting to see a huge shift. I would say at least the initiation of a discussion has started off, right? Earlier, what we have seen is a lot of farmer producer organizations, whether that be or self-help groups or CLFs or micro entrepreneurs that have been in tier 2 or tier 3 or lower cities or villages. They have not been exposed, I would say, to the digital commerce or digital e-commerce revolution that's happening in the country, right? So now, but with ONDC coming up, what I have seen and experienced in the last 2.5 years is that today, for example, a farmer producer organization which is based in Rajouri, like on the border of India, they are starting to sell their products across, in different parts of the country as well. A seller in somewhere in Sikkim, they are starting to sell products outside the state, right? And with that, what's happening is there is, of course, as Praveen rightly said, production is not a problem. We have a lot of good products which are available in different states, in different forms. So production is not a problem. But now, how do we make those products value add to that and bring them out so that they become sellable on the net, or as a digital platform, right? That's where the challenge is. But the very good part about what I'm really saying is something which was not happening earlier. For example, none of these FPOs or these self-help groups or artisans, weavers, they were not selling before on e-commerce platforms, right? Either they didn't want to, they were not aware of it, or the platforms which were existing today, they were not right for them. But once ONDC came out with the initiation of that discussion about saying that, okay, there is something in which you can get better market access, there is the possibility of this, and you can do this, that has started off, that has kicked off, right? And with that kicking off, what has really happened is the other issues, like, for example, that this exists. Okay, if you want to sell something on this e-commerce platform, these are the things that needs to come in, right? These are the things that needs to be in place. What are the value chain systems that has to be in place? Those issues have been discovered as well. And one of the biggest thing that I as a seller network partner and on ONDC truly believes is that ONDC is an initiation of a long conversation where, of course, the aim and goal is to see how we can digitally democratize the entire e-commerce in this country. But while doing that, we are going to discover issues that have long remained hidden, which will be, which has to get resolved. And that's the very good conversation and initiation which will open up and which will allow us to solve those problems. And what I'm seeing today is because of these things, a lot of issues have been identified. Now, a lot of agencies, working on how to solve those, right? So I think we are in the right direction.
Understood. And when we were speaking, you also referred to some fascinating numbers in terms of what is the impact that has been created. Maybe you would like to share those numbers.
So today, if you look at it around I think 16,000 FPOs, self-help groups are there. So on an average, if we talk about, we are talking about 50 lakh farmers' lives which have been impacted today. I mean, indirectly or indirectly they have been impacted. And what we see is as we move forward, there will be more lives which will get positively impacted. And I think this is a very big deal.
That's interesting to know. So from a startup perspective, what is important is one is access to tech, second is access to team, the third one is from a market access, and fourth one is obviously finance. Finance becomes an important contribution or important contributor. From that perspective, Jiji, you run an organization which is kind of a regulatory organization for all microfinance institutions that are there across the length and breadth of the country. How do you see this space evolving? We were discussing during the panel prep that what is the cost of funding? Mainstream it is about 10 to 12%, NBFCs probably 16 to 18%, and non-NBFCs or microfinance, it goes beyond 24%, and that cost of finance has not come down primarily because of distribution cost that is involved. So how do you see this space evolving, especially from the context of rural startups? I put a spotlight on startups because if you see the mainstream financial services, a lot of disruption has happened because of the fintech activity, and that fintech activity has been primarily channelized by the startup. So it'll be interesting to get your perspectives with a lens on the rural startups and what's happening in the cost of finance and financing area.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you for this question, and thank you, NABARD, IAMI, for inviting me for this discussion. You rightly said finance is an important factor as far as the startup is concerned. In fact, if you ask me, the rural startup are in a most disadvantageous position in various ways. See, many a times you see the kind of enterprises which come from the rural areas, they all come in a very, I would say, in an unfriendly environment. They don't have the kind of, I would say, skill. They may not have the kind of knowledge. They may not have the kind of market access, finance. So everything is disadvantageous for a city. In such a situation, only these enterprises come up. If you ask about the finance definitely is an important aspect as far as the micro enterprises or the rural enterprises are concerned. So there are various institutions which are providing finance to the rural enterprises. We have a list of banks, which are the commercial banks, private sector banks. We have small finance banks. We have region rural banks. We have cooperative banks. So we have a plethora of banks. In spite of that, they almost 30-40% of the people do not have a direct access to the banking finance.
They're still credit hungry.
Yeah, definitely. So that is where the non-banking institutions like NBFCs and NBFC MFIs, those kind of institutions come into play. Unfortunately, when you talk about the NBFC MFIs, or the MFI for that matter, they do not have an access to the savings. They can't mobilize funds from the form of savings. They necessarily need to depend on debt for their capital. So debt means they have to borrow from a financial institution, from a banking system, somewhere else. So cost of borrowing normally for an NBFC or NBFC MFI would be around 10 to 12%. That would be the
22%.
best. 10 to 12%.
10 to 12%.
10 to 12%. That's a borrowing cost for the institution.
Yeah, that's great.
And in case of microfinance institution, since it's a fiat on street model, the operational cost is high because the person from the institution goes to the village, mobilize the people, mobilize the application, collect the application, also go for the collections of repayment. So it's a more of a, I would say, human intensive activity which is happening. So because of that, the operational cost is high. It's around 7% average. It can vary anything between 6 to 8%, 9%. Then comes the risk cost, because these are all non-collateral loans. The loans which are given by the microfinance are unsecured loans, non-collateral loans. So this risk cost is definitely there. So 2 to 3%. Previously, we used to boast about 100%, 99% collections and all, but the days have gone. Now, if you see 2 to 3% of NBS or the risk is definitely there. Then finally, you also need to make some kind of a margin for their operations. So if you add up all these things, the number comes to 24, 25%. So, but I have almost my sympathies for a small entrepreneur who is in the rural area. who do not have an access to the formal banking system where you could have got a loan maybe at around 10% or 12%. He has to depend on either the informal channel from a money lender,
Right.
or you have to go to a formal channel, which is a less expensive one, which is a microfinance institution. But his cost is around 24%. It's not small.
Right.
So in such a situation, only these enterprises are being brought up in the rural areas. That's what I said. They are all coming up in a totally unfriendly or a disadvantageous situation. And
Right.
from there only they come up. But still they do well.
So what's your recommendation to correct that situation?
See, if the four parameters which I told about, there can be some more improvement in the efficiency and bring down the operational cost by, say, 50 basis points or 100 basis points.
Would digital contribute to
With
that?
some digital, yeah, definitely. There
Okay.
could be, technology can definitely play a role on that. That could be one. Second is, most important is how to bring down the cost of borrowing. If the cost of borrowing, I have seen in MFIs, smaller MFIs,
Yeah.
borrowing at 18% from another NBFC.
That's
It's a double intermediation.
unsustainable.
It's a double intermediation because that NBFC itself is borrowing
Correct.
from a bank, and that is being lent to an MFI.
Right.
So it becomes double intermediation, and finally the MFI gets it at 18%. And at what cost they can lend?
Yeah.
So if there can be some kind of a mechanism to bring down the cost, if they get around 7 to 8%, 9%, still we can expect around sub 20% lending. So that is what I hope a government can bring some change to that.
Intervention mechanisms. So taking the spotlight onto the startup, Mallikarjuna, I often tell people that these days there's no difference between a Bay Area startup and a startup promoted by a person in India, at least from a tier one city, whether Bangalore, Mumbai, or Hyderabad. How's it from a rural startup perspective? You're doing a lot of stuff. You yourself being a rural startup, what do you see? How do you see the space evolve? What are the opportunities from a digital adoption or opening up the market access perspective?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Actually, I started my own startup called Plantigen Agrisolutions. I'm a hardcore scientist from Hyderabad to moved to Rayalaseema region. It's called Pulivendula. There in Kadapa district of AP. It's a horticulture hub. So where you could see huge cultivation of banana and other horticulture crops. So where I started my startup, but I found so many difficulties when you compare it with when you started the company at in the urban area or in cities. When you compare it with that, we are facing many problems. When we are approaching banks doesn't have much knowledge.
Okay.
That is a major issue.
Do not have the knowledge of your product
funding.
or...
Yeah, even we are trying with agri-infrastructure or agri-sure or something.
Right.
So anyway, whatever the fund that it should route through the bank.
Right.
Right. So they have to learn. For learning is not an easy thing for them because their concentration is more on farmers or something like a local.
Okay.
Not on startups. Startup is the least area for them.
Right.
So this is what for me agri-infrastructure fund. It's about 8 months. Still, I'm struggling to get to approve that.
Okay.
And also legal opinions is a major issue, and the collateral. So bank says that government or agri-infrastructure says that non-collateral loan, but it's not correct. But bank require the collateral.
Okay.
This how we are facing
Is that
a
problem confined only to the public sector banks or is it confined to the private sector banks as well?
Private sector, I didn't.
You didn't explore?
I didn't explore,
Okay.
but I tried with Union Bank and also SBI. Now
Yeah.
SBI is almost clearing our
Right.
fund, but it is taking too much time. Okay.
Yeah. Because what has happened is from a private sector, been in conversation with ICICI, they want to explore a lot of ecosystem-based lending. So they're looking at ecosystems, whether it's a farmer ecosystems, SME ecosystem, micro-entrepreneur ecosystem and stuff like that. That's why I had asked if you had explored those kind of credit access.
I think in my perspective, any bank will ask the same kind of thing. Same kind of collateral, legal opinions.
Right.
Those things will be delayed, making a delay our programs. And one thing I want to admit here, some areas having huge potential, huge agriculture production. So their startups needs to set up. So directly farmers will be get benefit, and also we can generate a lot of employment.
Right.
And say Plantigen is offering skill development under skill development program. Within 2 years, we trained 125 members. Many got jobs in Hyderabad itself. So that's how we are encouraging the rural background. But so far, total investment is from my own pocket.
Okay.
About 50 lakhs I spent.
Okay.
So far, I haven't get any single paisa from banks.
Oh, I see.
For past 2 years, I'm trying. This I'm telling openly.
Understood.
Okay.
How about, most of the startups flourish because of the accelerator ecosystem, and sitting in Hyderabad,
Yeah.
people are very familiar with the accelerator system like T-Hub. Do you have some kind of accelerators like that from NABARD or the others?
Yes. And sir, one more thing is that there are some ecosystems, but not active like in Hyderabad.
Okay.
That is how it's there.
So what
Yeah.
would be your recommendation in terms of to improve the activity at the rural level, usually from a startup activity perspective?
That's what government should take initiatives to increase the any qualified people, because I have a lot of experience.
Right.
I had experience of abroad. I studied at Delhi, New Delhi. I
Right.
did my PhD in Delhi.
Right.
So a lot of experience I had. So, but only thing when you come to legal opinions or in terms of bank, we are little move out from that.
Understood.
We are unable to deal those kind of things.
Understood.
So we need some guidance in such
Understood.
cases.
Understood.
Yeah.
Seems like
And,
there's a lot of untapped potential at the proverbial bottom of the pyramid that C.K. Prahalad has referred to many years ago, right? So we got very good perspectives from ONDC, very good perspective from the service network partner, from somebody who works at the interface of regulation and finance, and from you as the rural startup entrepreneur yourself. Maybe it's an appropriate time to open the floor for any questions from the audience. I know
And
it's...
one more thing that...
before we go there.
One more thing that our products are performing very well and the market and the farmers' fields.
Okay.
So the farmers are very happy.
Right.
So because that area require about 30 crores of plants, banana only.
Right.
But all those plants coming from other side, outside, like Pune, somewhere else. So we don't have laboratories in that area, but high potential area.
Understood. But from a market access, did you explore
So much-
ONDC? You have
Yeah,
two
yeah,
people sitting onto your left side.
Yes, sure.
You did
Yeah.
explore.
And farmer produce also quality is so high. So keeping quality is so good. So that's why it's exporting to many countries.
Right.
So we need to expand it a little more with the help of ONDC or this Southern or something.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. Any questions from the audience? I know end of the day can be a bit tiring. Long day, that's right. Yes, please. Can we get a mic to him? Please introduce your name and... Yeah, they're getting a mic to you. If you can give couple minutes. They'll get the mic to you, maybe. Thank you.
Myself, Ram Kalyan. I'm an entrepreneur.
Can you speak a little louder? We have a challenge.
Myself,
here.
Ram Kalyan.
Okay.
I'm an entrepreneur and startup. Work on the social side also of the rural thing. ONDC, regarding the ONDC and the credit funding, as Mr. Mallikarjuna is mentioning, much issues with the banking sector regarding the collaterals of the thing. Is there anything from the ONDC supporting the startup ecosystem and the funding thing without collaterals?
Yeah. So the acoustics in the room is a bit challenging. Did you get the question, Praveen?
Maybe your monitors are not working.
You can come here. Come
Monitors
closer.
are not.
Yeah, come closer.
Please directly say.
Is there any solution from ONDC for Mr. Mallikarjuna is mentioning? Without the collateral and the thing.
Right.
What does actually ONDC do?
Yeah.
And for the startup ecosystem and the rural development?
Understood.
Is there any factor which can
Understood. Purely from a finance enabling perspective. Praveen, I know it's little bit out of the mandate, but...
Thank you.
So, understand it that way. ONDC is not financing directly to the startup and something. ONDC is not a financial institution.
Yeah,
So,
understood.
there are lots of government schemes. I mean, like RAMP team schemes which help MSMEs to build their capabilities and also help them digitizing their catalog, creating their catalog and all. For all those things, there are a lot of different agencies in the government who do provide funds in order to digitize and build the capability so that those startups can join this digital highway. ONDC is moreover into the providing access to the market in terms of creating digital capabilities or tech infrastructure where people can from one app to another app can communicate. It's not a direct financing agency, but there are a lot of government agencies. ONDC can help connect you with some of them, basis requirement and basis what sector segment you are falling into. However, while this is one part, other part of this ONDC is an ecosystem. There are a lot of seller network participants. There are a lot of buyer network participants. We call it different apps. So these apps themselves do have this kind of network that they can support these sellers in order to reach out. So it's like creating communities where ONDC has created communities in various segments. One is which we are discussing right now, FPOs, artisans, weavers and all. So this sort of, there are a lot of mobility communities, logistic communities, retail communities, grocery communities. There are a lot of communities where people get in touch with each other and help solve. So this is how it works.
In a way, indirectly, it does contribute because it kind of frees up your working capital because you're investing and then you have unsold stock, unsold goods. Your working capital is going to tied up and the cost of funding is going to go up. By at least bridging that divide between the buyer and the seller, they're able to unlock the locked up working capital, though does not contribute directly, but Jiji may have some answers.
I can just add here. See, if you see, Government of India has brought 3 schemes in 2015-2016, and it's still continuing. One is Mudra. Under Mudra, there are 3 categories. Now it is 4th category is also added. There is a Shishu, Kishore, Tarun, and Tarun Plus.
Okay.
Shishu is basically for a smaller nano or below nano kind of a enterprise which will require up to 50,000 rupees of money. And Kishore is another, the one which requires up to 5 lakh. Tarun is up to 10 lakh and 10 lakh plus up to 20 is Tarun Plus. This is one scheme which most of the banks are implementing. And up to 10 lakhs, it has to be collateral free.
Okay.
That is our Reserve Bank of India's direction is
Mandate.
There is another scheme called Stand Up India. In Stand Up India, up to 2 crore. Now, earlier it was 1 crore, now it has been increased to 2 crore for a women and an SC/ST person. Every bank is supposed to finance 1 woman and 1 SC/ST, which is also for a startup in a program.
Under universal obligations.
Without collateral. Yeah. That is also without collateral. There is another program called Startup India.
Right.
Startup India is exclusively for the startup programs. So I'm saying that there are schemes and programs available for such things, but many a times, there is a lack of knowledge, awareness.
Yeah.
And sometimes, the bankers or the lending institution also may not be fully aware about what is
Right.
Yeah, that's what's happening with us.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think in terms of
Agri-infrastructure
percolation
fund
of the
also
knowledge,
is,
sharing of that information is very important. One more question from here and then we'll bring this panel to an end. Yes, sir. Can we get a mic to him, please? Yeah, please hold on. The mic will come to you.
Good evening, all. Thanks for a very enlightening session. Sir, we are in Generation Z now, Gen Z. And digital market they are depending on it. But only thing is whenever we discuss with them, especially related with the products, so they convey 2 problems. One is related with the quality of the supply and the quantity of supply.
Right.
And the second one is related with the arrangements for that. So though there are separate channels, I am not making mention of some of the organizations like Amazon or kind of the thing. Maybe more such organizations should come because we have the products. We have the products related with agriculture and related with the non-farm sector, right, and others that have been there. how such organizations can be supported so that the digital marketing will become will come very nearer to the clientele where we have.
Yeah.
So because I am talking with the experience what I have gained in NABARD and NAPCONs. So I mean, this is the one, market access, and more number of organizations that, these two are the aspects that are to be, should be taken care. So, as the panelists have been telling, bank finance is one of the issues. Bank finance is one of the issues, but that should also be maybe made more liberalized and more popularized. So
Absolutely.
These are my views and some of the suggestions.
Yeah, thank you. In terms, one of the answer equivalent to an Amazon kind of an organization is ONDC, number one. And number two, I've also seen with more and more adoption of mobile in the rural areas. Now, lots of people start selling their products on WhatsApp. Now, WhatsApp has become a medium to sell for a lot of entrepreneurs. And I've seen a lot of people adopting it. It was earlier Facebook, and it kind of transitioned from Facebook to WhatsApp. And now this instant messaging channels have also become good channels from a digital market access perspective. Having said that, has it led to a significant adoption? Not really. We may be at the proverbial tip of the iceberg, and there's a lot of opportunities from an adoption perspective. Thanks for sharing your perspectives. That's all sorry. Yeah, please. Last question.
So thank you, sir. I am Praveen. I am from EPTRI. So is there any market linkages for like crops like turmeric, any startup, any market linkage? In most part of North Telangana, they produce more turmeric. Due to climate change, they harvest, and any other issues, they're not able to sell, they're not getting MSP price. Are there any startups or market linkages like digital market linkages for some FPO want to export the crop to other countries like US or UK? Is there any platforms out there like
Is ONDC confined only to national
As of
access?
now, we are not into the international market. There is a plan, but that is down the line. We have had the experiment in the past for the international market as well, but was not able to get that level of seller and all. So right now we are trying to solve the grassroots level problem. One part of it is your entire supply chain. Farmer has good produce, but then their packaging is not good, for example. That would reduce your perceived value of that particular product in comparison with the what options available to the consumer in the market, because there isn't free market, right? So working on that part of it, then your supply chain. Rural logistic is not that easily accessible and available. However, if you'll see from the capacity point of view, Government of India has an immense capacity in different departments. India Post has created a lot of infrastructure since their inception, but now is the time to make that infrastructure usable for the current situation, current circumstances which we have out there, right? So that's where in that direction we are working to bringing all such sort of organization coming together, and in simple word, do what you are good at. So if India Post is good at logistic, let them do the logistic. You need not to worry about it. We are bringing all such players together. If someone is good at marketing, then let them do the marketing. They are also the part of network, and whoever is connected to this network can access what sort of service they would want to. Otherwise, it is difficult to access out there in the market because of in platform world, it is concentrated between a single player or two player, whereas we are trying to provide access to everyone at an equal and on their condition. For example, in world of platform, you may have you need to work on their terms and conditions, this much commission, that. Whereas we try to create lot of communities, the way sir was saying, we need to have more platform just a couple of minutes back. ONDC is trying to create those sort of lots of platform who are doing either a regional startup, a bigger startup, even a startup in a city level can connect with the ONDC network, and their products will be visible on all buyer apps. Those buyer apps are delivering across the country, right? So that's type of ecosystem as of now we are trying to build, and this is very unique. No other country in the world even has taken such initiative. This is first time in the entire world we are doing, and that's in India. Because we have lot of already DPI created. We are riding on UPI for the payment, for example, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
this sort of technology development has been done by Government of India, and now we are taking the next leap
Yeah, yeah.
into the e-commerce so that equitable market can be provided to everyone. So FPOs should not become just a price taker, they shall be value taker, right?
Yeah.
They can create value out of their product and earn more. That is what the entire idea is.
Well, thank you, sir.
So with that, we will bring this panel to an end. And at the end, it's kind of a dichotomy of the tech adoption, right? At one end, we are able to send probes or man-made rovers to South Pole. At the other end, we have not been able to address the credit-hungry requirement and affordable finance at the rural areas. I guess the tech will catch up over a period of time and we'll get an ample opportunity to address these problems. Thanks for being wonderful audience. Thank you once again.